Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm kind of obsessed with this thread right here by @TAIGXRP. I showed this to you in the last video. Perkins Coie owns XRP. This account was activated by Daxter, which is activated by Chris Larson, and I showed this in the last video. It was opened on 4/8/2014, and I had shown you this where Chris Larson activated it, and we showed some of these transactions in 2019. But if you go further down in his feed here, he says, this is only a few of the transactions I can fit in one screenshot. These are all from 2019. And it looks like, anyway, and then if you go down, it says the rabbit hole's deep. A few months before the infamous Hinman SEC speech, an account associated with these accounts created two separate Ethereum trust lines totaling 2 billion. That's billion, not million, people. Okay? That's like a few months before the Hinman speech. Hinman speech was 6/14/2018. This is 3/17/2018. And then as you go down, this is, and wouldn't you know, Dax Hansen from Perkins Coie has been controlling the account. So Dax Hansen is the guy, Dax Hansen right here is the guy that was controlling the account. So this is him from Perkins Coie. Now, it says the account Perkins Coie LLP was activated by this, and guess how many XRP that account had been sent in 2016? 91 million. This account was activated by XRP2, which was activated by XRP1 and leads back to Ripple. Okay, so this is that, June 29th, 2016. All right, I think that's all he's got. No, here's another one. Also, an unusually long gap in trading after, you guessed it, the infamous Hinman speech. So there's a gap in trading from 4/24/2018 and then 9/19/2018. Very interesting stuff. So what I decided, and wait till you see what I'm going to show you, because I think that I haven't tracked it back to when Dax Hansen met Chris Larson, but I have tracked it back to him being in the same room with Chris Larson. So keep watching. But first we're going to look at who Dax Hansen is. This is his Twitter handle, @JDaxHansen. One interesting thing of note is apparently his family is in the farm business. I went to their website and I figured as long as we're talking about Dax Hansen, maybe I can help sell some of their, they've got a shop here. You can buy sourdough mixes and pancake waffle mixes. That sounded good to me, so I decided I would click on them, and maybe some of you that are hungry out there would like to order some of Dax Hansen's family's Oatman Farms provisions, buttermilk pancakes. They've also got variety packs here. I thought that was just kind of cool. Let me show you something else that's kind of cool. He's got a Farmers Love Bitcoin section here, where he even has a way, a QR code, and he's got a way down here where you can open a Bitcoin wallet. Let's see where that takes you. Coin Me. So he's got a Bitcoin wallet where you can sign up for a Bitcoin wallet on Coin Me. Pretty cool. All right, now Dax Hansen. You remember this is the Hinman speech from TechGC that we have not been able to find. This is the one that in the lawsuit Ripple was asking where this clip, if this was recorded. I think they asked Bill Hinman if this was recorded. This was a fireside chat that Bill Hinman was at TechGC October 26, 2018. Well, when I went into Dax Hansen's Facebook page, look what I found. Tech GC. This is not the same year. This is the year after. Turns out they had Hester Pierce there the year after. We're thrilled to welcome Commissioner Hester Pierce of the SEC to our FinTech GC roundtable. And so here is the actual table. I just thought this was interesting. And here's Dax Hansen, and there's Hester Pierce. They're sitting at the table eating. It was at the Four Seasons, I guess. Thought that was pretty cool, pretty interesting little find. But not near as interesting as what I'm about to show you. So this is the post from Tech GC where they're posting that same picture. Well, I went back and I found this video of Dax Hansen. He's at Bitcoin 2014, May 16th, 2014. Here's him speaking, and it looks like Perkins Coie is actually sponsoring this. You can see them on the board.
Time, so we know that they're not just silent on this topic, that we can misconstrue as acceptance. They've adopted quite a few studies and are looking at it, and they appear to be taking a fairly reasonable approach. And because of passporting processes that do exist, if there is some sort of authorization required, it is less expensive to roll out an offering to serve EU customers than it would be, for instance, in the United States. So the EU seems to be a pretty good place to go, but we also obviously have a lot of countries that haven't registered an EU yet. Of course, companies need to take into account where their customers are based.
Okay, so that's Dax Hansen, and he his Perkins Coie is sponsoring this Bitcoin 2014. Well, I got to looking through it. This was posted on the Bitcoin Foundation, and I got to looking through their videos, and you'll never guess who else was there. Well, turns out our David Schwartz was there.
Is allowing existing companies to solve compliance issues and consumer protection issues in the cryptocurrency space, and putting that type of control in the hands of the consumer so they can decide how their information is used and who has it.
Great, thanks. So we've got a great panel here today, and I think we're going to kind of
let's see if we can find David Schwartz speaking again on this panel right here. I haven't even listened to everything he said. Come on, play for me.
Well, one key difference is that transactions are irreversible. Particularly in the United States, people are used to being able to sort of appeal or undo, or if a merchant doesn't perform, they're not in the habit of suing that merchant. They're in the habit of making...
And you'll notice on the back that that's the same, it's at the same event Perkins Coie is sponsoring. And then we had this guy there.
I agree with everything George just said, but I think you also have to take the attitude of the banks really aren't out there to crush this movement. And we all kind of think that, the second you get a bad no, you think that's a conspiracy, everybody's out to get us. It's not really, I don't really think that's the main thing that's going on. If you actually look at other parts of the financial services business, tons of other really big businesses are also facing this difficulty with banks, right? Payday lending, with peer-to-peer lending, we certainly face this through, every year.
Now, what this reminded me of when I'm seeing all this, when I saw that tweet, and then I see all of this, the first thing that popped in my head is one of the greatest movies of all time, Pee-wee's Big Adventures. This is when his bike was stolen, and he gathered all of his friends in the basement, and he had up on the screen, let me see if I can get the screen, he had a big chalkboard behind him with all of his evidence on what could have happened to his bike. And one of the guys raises his hand, he says, "We've been down here for hours. What is this all supposed to mean?" And he's like, "What's it supposed to mean?" And he goes in a whole rant. Well, that's kind of how I feel with all of this. What is all this supposed to mean? But it sure is fascinating, right? I do love that movie, though. As my kids have grown up, I have intentionally tried to make them watch that movie because it's one that I love to watch with them. A classic. Brian Melancholy XRP sent me this great clip, and this is a guy in the audience. I don't know where this is, but he's giving it to Gary Gensler as he should.
Hi, Gary. Appreciate the regulation of crypto that you're pursuing. One question for you is, you've said that there can't be 5,000 to 6,000 private forms of money, referring to the approximately 6,500 tokens there are, but that's a patently false statement. barely, but the majority of those tokens are not trying to be private forms of money. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, I don't know your first name. I apologize, but I think that you raise a good point. I was using the term cryptocurrencies loosely. They're not all currencies, but I also think that each of these individual projects, if they want to compete as a form of money, that's unlikely. If they're competing as something else, if they're offering something to the public other than investment contract. I mean, Preet was saying that they're maybe not investment contracts. If they're investment contracts and they're a form of security, which I think there are many of them are, again, based on facts and circumstances, that would be different. But it's hard to say that they are, all not investment contracts and all not some form of trying to be some form of private money. And then you say, well, they're a commodity. But I'd ask back, how many forms of precious metal really compete as some form of long-term form of store of value?
I guess the answer to that is pretty straightforward, though. You'd have gold and then some other precious metals for different commodities. But I think that we all want you to succeed in pursuing this regulation of crypto, but some of those statements probably rip some credibility off you. So I'd ask you to sort of probably consider them more closely, because it's not like you say that like there's file storage systems such as Filecoin, which are decentralized AWS, let's say, and you're not saying that AWS or Amazon stock or Microsoft stock or Google stock are forms of money. I just think statements like that are probably ruffling feathers.
Well, I appreciate your comments, and I'll take them.
We need more of that. Like this guy right here says, this is how Gensler needs to be handled. This guy, I'm telling you, I've watched him. He is like Janet Yellen. These people are bureaucrats, and they've been programmed to just do all this circular BS talk that says nothing but gives a bunch of platitudes and nothing answers. And then they keep talking until you let them get away with it. The only way to handle that kind of talk is with brutal honesty and calling them out. It's the only way. And we saw a couple of those congressmen do it, but I think he's going to face more and more of that, because I think a lot of people know that that's a game that they're playing. Janet Yellen, you can sit there and watch her for an hour talk and say absolutely nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. And it's really disheartening, because these people are supposed to be bettering our country. I mean, they're put there to better our country, and it doesn't do any of us any good if you don't feel the pressure. I mean, probably most people listening to my voice either do or have felt the pressure of a boss who is going to fire your ass if you don't get your job done and do it right, and do it right for the people that are paying you. Well, these people don't seem to feel that pressure, and until they do, you're not going to get the same results that a boss at your work does, because they aren't in fear of losing their job. When's the last time you heard of an SEC employee being fired, or any government employee being fired for that matter? It should happen every day. That would change everything if these people ever feared that they could actually be fired for not doing their job and not representing the people that they've been put there to represent. Then you would not get all this BS platitudes and a bunch of saying nothing. You wouldn't get that anymore, because they would have a fear element in their job. That's what's needed. Mr. Intuitive Troomers Only sent me this. This was David Schwartz's reply to a series of tweets here. Actually, maybe it's his thread. But he says, speaking of DeFi, bringing Ethereum smart contracts to XRPL could lower the barriers to entry for developers to build powerful DeFi apps with cross-chain interoperability. How about them apples, folks? Before I go, I want to remind you, Link2 has added Ripple private equity to their platform, and this stuff has been selling pretty rapidly. Like when they put this stuff up. So you might want to go and check it out. It's just for accredited investors, and you have to go through that process with them. But I have links to this in the description of my videos, and you can also go to linqto.com if you want to check it out. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Ripple Private Equity is on, not the digital asset XRP, but Ripple Private Equity is on the Link 2 platform.